In hindsight, maybe we shouldn't have dared Allison to touch the "Do Not Approach" sign. But in our defense, the sign didn't say anything about knocking. The station was too quiet for a place supposedly off-limits. That, naturally, made Daniel Wren want to poke around. It wasn't that Earth's diplomatic envoy lacked discipline. He could handle 3 weeks of tedious peace talks without starting an interstellar incident. But this was different. They'd been escorted through hallway Gamma, where the light panels flickered and the temperature dropped just enough to make you aware of your breath. On one side, plain alloy wall. On the other, an obsidian door set in seamless stone. No sign. No guards. Just there. It called to him. Daniel, Risk, the insectoid translator, all antennae twitching. We are not meant to look at that. I'm not looking, Daniel said, leaning in. I'm evaluating. He placed a palm against it. Cold. The kind of cold that wasn't from temperature. It was a presence. Risk's mandibles clacked nervously. It's the gate of silence. Even the Vathri priests do not. Daniel knocked. Not hard. Not ceremonial. Just 2 casual tap-taps, like asking if anyone was home. For a second, nothing. Then the door knocked back. Not a mechanical echo. Not vibration. A deliberate, slow thud, followed by another. Like something on the other side had been waiting centuries for someone to give it permission. Risk backed away so fast his hind legs clicked against the wall. You have done a very stupid thing. Daniel smiled like someone who just pressed a red button in a movie. Yeah, he said. I get that a lot. The audience. By the time they reached the negotiation chamber, the rumor had outrun them. Half the alien delegates stared at Daniel like he was a live grenade. The other half tried to pretend they hadn't heard. Ambassador Cora, the human lead, met him with that polite smile Earth officials wore when about to commit social homicide. Mr. Wren. A word. Daniel leaned closer. If this is about the door, I can explain. You will explain nothing, she said through her teeth. You will sit. You will not speak unless spoken to. And you will absolutely not. The lights flickered. The Vathri high priest froze mid-chant. Several species turned toward the far wall, where the faint sound of rhythmic knocking echoed again, this time inside the station. Daniel cleared his throat. So, small update. Whatever was behind that door. It's moving. First cracks. The talks derailed instantly. The Vathri accused the humans of sacrilege. The Zor coalition demanded evacuation. The Athisk warlord simply stared at Daniel like trying to decide if killing him would be worth the paperwork. Daniel raised a hand. Before anyone overreacts. Overreacts. The Vathri priest's voice cracked like breaking glass. You touched the sealed gate. It was not to be opened until the end sun rises. Daniel shrugged. In my defense, I didn't open it. I just made it aware of me. Ambassador Cora closed her eyes. Daniel, stop speaking. But the room vibrated again. Deep, resonant, not from the station systems. The kind of sound that reminded you your bones were hollow tubes. The alien delegates began filtering out, some in panic, others whispering in their own tongues. Risk stayed close to Daniel, partly from fear, partly because Daniel had a terrible tendency to wander toward trouble instead of away from it. You don't understand, Risk whispered. The thing behind that door, it isn't a machine. It's a witness. It remembers every treaty broken, every war started, every oath betrayed. Daniel smirked. Sounds like my ex. This is not humor time. Following the knock. Daniel wasn't much for being told to stay put. Especially when the knocking was getting louder and seemed to follow the curve of the station's halls. He slipped away under the guise of checking security perimeters, which fooled exactly no one but worked because everyone was too busy arguing to stop him. The station corridors felt wrong now, gravity just slightly uneven, lighting softer as though dimmed by fog that wasn't there. Every few steps, a metallic boom reverberated through the walls. He found himself back at hallway Gamma. The obsidian door looked unchanged, except now it was breathing. Not in the literal chest-rise sense, but the surface pulsed faintly, in and out, with each knock. Like a heartbeat. "All right," he muttered. "You want my attention. You've got it. Contact." He pressed his palm again. This time, the cold didn't push back, it reached through him. Memories not his own flickered, vast cities burning in alien skies, fleets shattered, beings kneeling before something unseen. A voice followed. Not in his ears. In his mind. "You are not who we expected." Daniel's breath fogged. "Yeah, well, I get that too. You carry no seal. You bear no chains. Why knock?" "I was curious," he admitted. "Also, you put a mysterious black door in an unguarded hallway. That's like begging for trouble." The voice paused. "Your kind has never come here. Guess we're fast learners." Silence, then a low chuckle, not amused, but ancient. "If you open this gate, the galaxy will change." Daniel considered. Define change. Blood remembers blood. Predators remember prey. And the chains will break. The decision. He stepped back, the voice fading but the cold lingering. Somewhere in the distance, alarms were starting. The station AI's comm announcement in 3 languages urged all non-essential personnel to assemble at evacuation points. Ambassador Cora intercepted him halfway back. "What did you do?" Daniel gave her a half-smile. "Made a new friend." "Daniel." "Relax," he said, as the next deep knock rattled the floor. "I'm pretty sure it likes us." The knock wasn't loud. It was almost lazy, a 3-beat tap, more fitting for a bored office worker than an explorer standing in front of a myth older than most star systems. But in the silence of the chamber, it rolled like a drumbeat in a cathedral. Something knocked back. Not a random sound. Not an echo. 3 beats. Matched perfectly. From the other side. The aliens froze mid-breath. The Eric's linguist's frills shrank flat to her neck. The 2-armed translator unit dropped its stylus. Someone in the group made a sound halfway between a squeak and a prayer. Captain Jonas did not freeze. He took one slow step back from the forbidden door, an oval of black alloy streaked with veins of silver light, embedded in the far wall of the chamber, and tilted his head. "Well," he said, as if discussing a minor inconvenience at a diner. "That's new." The Kereth chieftain shuffled forward, his 6 fingers twitching nervously. "Human, why did you do that? No one touches the door." "No one even," he swallowed, his gill flaps fluttering. "It answers only to the ones inside." Jonas glanced at him, expression unreadable. "And yet, it answered me." The silence after that statement was thick enough to chew. The Eric's linguist finally spoke, her voice shaking. "You mocked the Sentinel. It is said to wake only when it judges the galaxy worthy of its attention, or unworthy of existing." Jonas arched a brow. "Those seem like very different outcomes." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "If the Sentinel has stirred, it will not be to bring gifts." Something moved on the door. Not opened. Shifted. A thin, vertical slit of silver light ran down its center, widening just enough to reveal darkness that wasn't merely the absence of light but an active, swallowing void. The Kereth chieftain dropped to his knees. The rest of the aliens followed suit, some pressing their foreheads to the cold floor. Jonas did not kneel. He did what no one else thought to do. He took out his comm. "Control, this is Jonas. Tell Fleet Command the door's awake." "Yes, that door." The pause on the line stretched. Then a clipped voice replied, "Understood." "Do not engage further." Jonas smiled faintly. "Sure." He slipped the calm away without promising anything. The voice came next. It didn't travel through the air. It bloomed inside skulls, alien and human alike, like a cold wind sweeping through thought. Who disturbs the silence? Half the aliens whimpered. One fainted. Jonas stepped forward again. Jonas Harlan, United Terran Navy. He kept his voice calm, almost casual, but his eyes had sharpened. And you are? Your kind should not be. Jonas smiled. Not pleasantly. We get that a lot. The Sentinel's voice pressed harder. Leave, or be erased. The aliens' fear tipped into panic. Several scrambled toward the exit tunnel, tripping over each other. Jonas stayed where he was, arms loose at his sides. That's the thing about humans. We're terrible at leaving things alone. The silver light pulsed, brighter now, illuminating the chamber walls. Etchings appeared. Maps, constellations, battles rendered in stark relief. In each, the same black ovals marked planets and ships, all obliterated in perfect silence. The Eric's linguist whispered, "Those are the ones it erased." Jonas studied the etchings like a man inspecting a weather chart. Efficient work. Your civilization will be next. Jonas tilted his head. You know, I'm starting to think you're more bark than bite. The pulse of light froze. The voice paused, only for a fraction of a second, but Jonas caught it. In that sliver of hesitation, he knew. This thing wasn't a god. It wasn't infallible. It was something that could be beaten. He took one step closer to the door, boots echoing on the stone floor. Here's the thing. You don't get to threaten my species. Not anymore. We've had our share of bigger, meaner things trying to put us in the ground. They all thought they were the last word in destruction. They're now footnotes in history books nobody reads. The silver light flared violently. You will cease. Jonas grinned, teeth white in the glow. No. You will. Behind him, the few aliens who hadn't fled stared in disbelief. They were witnessing something no one had dared in millennia, a mortal talking back to the Sentinel like it was just another bureaucrat. The chamber trembled. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Somewhere deep within the door, a sound like gears turning began, slow and deliberate. Jonas didn't flinch. You woke up because you thought the galaxy was yours to cull. I knocked because I thought you might be interesting. Guess which of us was right? The tremor intensified. The Eric's linguist grabbed Jonas's sleeve. You must leave before it fully awakens. Jonas glanced at her. If it's waking up, that's exactly when you stay. He turned back to the door. One last chance. Go back to sleep. The voice came again, colder now. Human. You have no idea what I am. Jonas's smile thinned into something sharper. You're about to find out what I am. The chamber's lights died in an instant, plunging them into blackness, except for the growing silver glare of the door. The darkness from within the slit reached outward like smoke, curling toward Jonas's boots. And Jonas stepped forward into it. The corridor outside the forbidden door felt colder than before, though Marcus suspected it wasn't temperature. It was the air, heavy, as if something massive had pressed its face against the other side of reality. Voran clicked his mandibles nervously. It's still knocking. No, Marcus corrected, his voice low but sharp. It's answering. The crew froze. The rhythmic thud had changed. No longer random. It now matched the heartbeat of the station's life support systems. Each impact seemed to crawl under the skin, hitching onto the rhythm of the body itself. Right, Marcus said, finally turning from the door. We're leaving. Now. Zirith, the four-eyed security chief, rumbled a protest. We can't simply. Zirith, Marcus interrupted without looking at him. If you want to keep that impressive number of eyes, I suggest pointing them toward an exit. They moved fast, boots clanging on the metal. But the sound behind them didn't fade. It followed. Not footsteps. Not machinery. The sound of something testing the door from the inside. Marcus tapped his wrist calm, opening a private channel to Earth Command. Control, this is Hawthorne. We've got contact. You're going to want to move to Phase 2. A calm, female voice replied instantly. Phase 2 confirmed. Containment pattern Alpha. Voron's antennae twitched as he overheard. Containment? For what? Marcus kept walking. You'll see. Hopefully, not too closely. The briefing room. Minutes later, they were in the station's circular briefing chamber. The walls shimmered with projection feeds, readouts of the forbidden door, heat signatures, quantum resonance patterns that meant nothing to most, but everything to Marcus. Dr. Karen, the lead xenoarchaeologist, stabbed a claw toward the readings. This is impossible. That door was sealed with 6 overlapping dimensional locks. Whatever is on the other side shouldn't know how to knock back. Marcus leaned casually against the table. Yeah, about that. It didn't learn. It remembered. The room went silent. Karen's ridged brows drew together. You're implying prior contact. Marcus gave a small shrug. Not implying. Confirming. Voron's voice was nearly a hiss. Humans knew about this before you arrived here. Marcus straightened, voice calm but carrying an edge that cut through the air. Voron, there's a reason Earth doesn't publish all its field trip logs. Some doors we catalog. Some we don't. And some we visit just long enough to make sure they stay closed. Karen slammed a palm on the table. Then why bring us here at all? Because, Marcus said, stepping toward the projection of the door, we wanted to see if the thing behind it still remembered us. Turns out, he pointed at the heartbeat-synced readings, it does. The first breach. An alarm screamed. The projection warped into static. Ziritha's voice thundered over comms. Containment field breach in Sector Epsilon. It's moving. The chamber erupted in chaos. Scientists shouted data. Security scrambled for weapons. Marcus remained perfectly still, eyes narrowing. It's not breaking out. Voron spun to him. Then what? It's walking in, Marcus finished. We opened the wrong door somewhere else. The station shook, a deep rolling vibration like something was dragging its claws along the hull. The trap inside the trap. Marcus pulled a compact device from his jacket, a polished sphere the size of a baseball. He pressed his thumb into a hidden indent, and a low hum filled the air. Voron eyed it warily. What is that? Marcus smiled faintly. Insurance policy. Earth version. A section of the floor lit up in geometric patterns. Energy arced, forming a shimmering cage in the center of the room. You're baiting it? Karen's voice was equal parts disbelief and horror. Not bait, Marcus corrected, walking into the cage. I'm the handshake it's expecting. The arrival. The air in the room bent. Colors drained, shadows stretched. A shape began to coalesce in the far corner. It was tall, thin, wrong in its proportions, and its head was angled too far to one side, as if curious. It didn't walk. It slid. When it spoke, it didn't use sound. Its voice pressed directly into the mind. You came back. Marcus tilted his head slightly. Technically, you came forward. I was just standing here. The creature's faceless head tilted further. You remember. Marcus allowed the faintest smile. Every unpleasant detail. It drifted closer, ignoring the cage, until the moment it crossed the shimmering line. Then it froze. Marcus's voice dropped, quiet but sharp. Welcome to the conversation pit. No one leaves until they've been heard. The cage flared, and the thing let out a sound. Not pain, but offense. The reveal. Voron's voice broke through the calm. Marcus, explain this now. Marcus didn't look away from the creature. This isn't about exploration. This was a retrieval mission. We've been waiting for this thing to try the door for 57 years. The creature's mental voice lashed out, jagged and sharp. You can't hold me. Marcus stepped closer, eyes hard. Maybe not forever. But long enough for Earth to decide what to do with you. It pulsed, as if laughing. You are still small things, hiding behind tricks. Marcus's expression didn't change. And you still talk too much for something that lost the last time. The shift in the room. Every alien in the chamber had gone silent. They were realizing something in unison, that the polite, easygoing human they'd been dealing with wasn't here to study anything. He was here to finish something. And whatever was in that cage had faced humans before. And lost. The hum of the device deepened, the light from the floor patterns rising into a sharp glow. Marcus finally looked back at the others. Seal every secondary entrance. Double the sentries. And someone get me a cup of coffee. This is going to be a long night. The creature pressed against the cage, the room shuddering from the force. Its voice cut through the air once more. You think you have won? Marcus smiled coldly. Not yet. But you'll know when I do. The chamber hummed like a living thing. It wasn't the metallic whine of machinery or the steady buzz of a generator. This was deeper, resonating in bone and blood, an alien heartbeat pulsing through stone that shouldn't have been awake. Captain Mara stayed 3 steps inside the threshold, her visor recording every flicker of movement from the monolithic walls. Nobody touch anything, she said, voice low. The command carried more by instinct than rank. Jace was already ignoring her. He moved toward the centerpiece of the room, a circular platform inlaid with spiraling symbols, etched so fine they shimmered as if liquid silver. You're assuming this is something, he murmured. I'm thinking it's everything. Lieutenant Oren grunted. It's also ancient. Which means it's probably wired to do the exact opposite of what you want it to. Jace flashed a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Relax. I'm not stupid enough to. His glove brushed the inner ring. The hum stopped. For a heartbeat, the silence was so complete it felt like the world had been erased. Then a sound came, not mechanical, not natural, a drawn-in breath that seemed to fill the air itself. The spirals lit from the outside in, converging to a single point at the platform's center. Mara's rifle came up. Step back, Jace. Now. But the platform wasn't waiting. The silver lines retracted like threads being pulled taut, forming a shape, tall, angular, unmistakably humanoid but wrong in every proportion. Its head was elongated, no eyes, only a smooth surface that reflected their own terrified faces back at them. Oren swore under his breath. Sentinel. The thing tilted its head, and though it had no mouth, they heard it speak. Not in sound, in thought. Identify. Mara's breath caught. It wasn't a request. It was a demand, the kind that made your instincts scream that the wrong answer was fatal. This is Captain Mara Ellen of the UEN survey team, she said carefully. We mean no harm. The reflection shifted, showing not their faces, but a star map, except the stars were dying. Whole systems faded to black, one after another, until only a handful remained lit. False. The air tightened around them, gravity pressing harder, the hum now a low growl in the bones. Jace took a step forward despite Mara's sharp hiss. Listen, whatever you think we did. The sentinel turned its head toward him. Initiator. What? Jace blinked. I didn't. The floor split. Seamless stone parted in precise arcs, revealing a chasm lit with molten light far below. From its depths, mechanisms rose, spheres nested inside one another, rotating, locking, aligning. The sound was hypnotic, like the ticking of a clock too big for the mind to comprehend. Oren backed up, rifle aimed down. Tell me this isn't a weapon. It's worse, Mara said. It's a key. The sentinel extended one thin, metallic arm toward Jace. Not touching, just pointing, like an executioner marking the condemned. One command will awaken the vault. Vault? Jace echoed. What's in it? Correction. Mara felt her throat go dry. Correction? As in? The sentinel's head swiveled toward her. The removal of all corrupted patterns. Images flooded their minds. Planets stripped to bedrock, oceans boiled away, cities reduced to dust in the blink of an eye. No fleets, no armies. Just erasure. Jace's voice was thin now. It thinks we're the corruption. The sentinel didn't deny it. Behind them, the chamber's entrance slammed shut, the stone knitting itself solid. The light dimmed except for the molten glow below. Mara forced her breathing steady. If we refuse? The sentinel paused, as if considering. Refusal accepted. Commencing purge. The platform beneath them shifted again, faster now, the nested spheres locking into alignment. Mara fired without hesitation, 3 rounds straight into the sentinel's head. They passed through like it was smoke. Not physical, she cursed. Jace. Find me an interface, now. He was already moving, hands flying over the spirals, searching for patterns in the alien script. Orin covered him, eyes locked on the sentinel's unmoving form. Then the hum rose, higher, sharper, like the scream of metal under strain. The molten pit blazed white-hot. Jace's hands froze. Got it. I can stall it. Do it. His glove sank into one of the spirals, the symbols rippling like water. The hum faltered. The sentinel turned its head toward him again. Unauthorized overwrite. Yeah. Jace gritted his teeth. Sue me. The spirals flared, light shooting up the walls, forcing the sentinel to step back, its first actual movement. The molten pit began to dim. Then the walls themselves shifted, opening into a dozen narrow slits. Something began crawling through, not one sentinel, but many, smaller, each moving like a spider made of razors. Mara's voice was ice. We hold this line until Jace finishes. Orin's rifle barked, cutting the first one in half. It dissolved into black ash, but 2 more replaced it. Almost there, Jace said, sweat rolling down his temple. If I can redirect the command, maybe I can. The main sentinel raised its arm. The smaller constructs froze mid-lunge, waiting. Override granted. Initiator reclassified. Architect. The spiders withdrew. The molten pit sealed shut. The hum faded to silence once more. Jace's voice was a whisper. What did I just do? The sentinel stepped closer, its reflection now showing not destruction, but a single glowing sphere, a planet they didn't recognize. The architect will decide which pattern is preserved. And then it was gone. The platform dimmed. The entrance unsealed. The air felt too light, too easy to breathe, like the chamber had let go of them. Mara holstered her rifle slowly. We're leaving. Agreed, Orin said. And when we get back to the ship, we never talk about this again. Jace didn't move. His eyes stayed on the platform. It gave me control of something, he murmured. Something big. And I think it's waiting for my decision. Mara stepped in front of him. Then hope to hell you never have to make it. They left the chamber without looking back, but all 3 of them knew the hum hadn't truly stopped. It was still there, waiting, deep in the stone.